If you can believe it, this is what our nation's highest court just ruled in favor of. Our Supreme Court has just ruled in effect that the Biden administration has the right to disregard immigration law. We're going to see what's really going on with the court's decision that allows the feds to open up our southern borders. And we're going to see how Texas officials, along with the American people, are telling the Supreme Court where they can stick their latest decision. Hey, gang, it's me, a little ticked off Dr. Steve, your Patriot professor, here to help you to think better so we can all feel a little bit better in these crazy and turbulent times. So make sure to smack that bell and subscribe. But also, as many of you know, we have had a bit of a misfortune visit this channel. We've been completely and totally demonetized. That's right. Big Tech has stepped in and completely demonetized our channel. But they overlooked one major factor in all of this, and that, of course, is you. You guys have been absolutely amazing. Literally thousands of you have come to our rescue, and you're sticking it to Big Tech by joining our Insiders Club. We all know that demonetization and cancellation efforts they're all efforts by Big Tech in the end to separate us from one another, to make us feel like we're alone. We like to say to make us feel like we're in a digital solitary confinement, which in an attempt to discourage us and dishearten us and the like. But I'm here to tell you, you are not alone. Click on that link below right now, and you will know that you will never be alone. Join the thousands of patriots that have already stuck it to Big Tech by joining our Insiders Club. For just $5 a month, you and I will have the security of knowing that our relationship will never, ever be severed. This is how we bypass the Big Tech overlords through our Insiders Club. Our relationship with one another is safe and secure. Click on that link below right now. Join the club and join the rising army of thousands who are taking back our nation each week. And here's the best part. We're doing it together. It was a head-scratching decision in a 5-4 ruling with the usual defections of Roberts and Barrett to the dark side, the lunatic liberal side. The court ruled that the Biden administration did in fact have the right to remove razor wire set up by Texas officials that served as a barrier to the slew of illegal migrants crossing our southern border. It was a rather stunning ruling, precisely because the decision in effect is preventing Texas from enforcing the law, all the while enabling the Biden administration to break the law. Now, we reported a couple of months ago how Texas Governor Greg Abbott formally invoked Article 1, Section 10 of the Constitution, which gives the right to every state to actually declare war if they're being invaded or in imminent danger. You may not know this, but individual states historically can declare war. It's not a power solely for the federal government. James Madison explicitly stated that Article 1, Section 10 can be invoked against smugglers. Madison specifically cited Virginia using its militia to stop smugglers as an example of a valid exercise of these constitutional powers. Again, the principle is simply one of state sovereignty. If the sovereignty of a state is being violated, then that state has the right to declare war, an invasion, or whatever without congressional approval. And so Greg Abbott is saying, look, we're not defending the U.S. border. We're defending Texas's border, which we have a constitutional duty to do. It's not just a right. It's a duty. It's an obligation. But the Supremes, at least 5 of them at least, didn't see it that way. They saw it as a national immigration issue. Barrett and Roberts and the Three Stooges agreed that, and here's the key, that as long as the legal battles between Texas and the Biden administration are going through the appellate process, the feds do have the right to cut the razor wires. Now, again, that is key in all of this. The Supreme Court's decision is, in fairness, reflective of the fact that the case is still going through the appellate process. In other words, the court ruled that until this conflict between Texas officials and the Biden White House gets resolved in the courts, the feds have the right to tear down the razor wire. It's not a final ruling for the Biden White House by any means. It's simply a temporary ruling that defaults to the federal government's jurisdiction over immigration and national border issues until the dispute between Texas and Washington is resolved in the appellate process. That said, Texas officials are basically telling the Supreme Court to stick it. Greg Abbott is out there saying that the Supreme Court can hand down all the rulings it wants. It is not going to stop Texas officials from defending their territorial sovereignty. Again, this is what's so key to Abbott's argument here. He doesn't care about the nation's border. He cares about Texas's border, right? We wouldn't be having this issue in any way, shape, or form if the Biden administration would simply carry out its law enforcement responsibilities, which it's not doing. And so Texas officials are not about to listen to a ruling that sided with those who actually refuse to enforce the law. And guess what? It looks like Texas officials even have a majority of Democrats behind them in their fight. As it turns out, it's not just diehard MAGA types who are upset over this ruling. Keep in mind, even Democrat mayors and governors are freaking out over this. I assure you, Mayor Eric Adams in New York, Brandon Johnson in Chicago, they did not want to hear that decision. They want the border closed. Even John Fetterman, the Democrat senator from Pennsylvania, listen to the way he's defending closing the border on CNN.
I saw a poll that indicated you have very high approval among Democratic voters, and this information in Pennsylvania, and this information came along with the tag that Twitter is not real life, because obviously a lot of progressives on Twitter have been attacking you for your position on Israel, for noting that, in your opinion, saying that there is a crisis at the border does not make one xenophobic. Why do you think you've been so criticized by so many progressives?
I honestly don't understand. I don't understand why it's controversial to anybody to decide that you're going to stand with Israel in this situation. I honestly don't understand why it's controversial to say we need a secure border. I've been very clear. In fact, that was weaponized against me as Republicans in my race, that I'm very much a strong supporter of immigration. And, you know, my wife's family, that's the Oregon story about that. And I think two things can be true at the same time. You can be very supportive of immigration, but we also need to have a secure border. And I think about immigration as we want to provide the American dream for any migrant. But it seems very difficult when you have 300,000 people showing up encountered at our border to do that. And I think we need to do a reset, and we have to work together and develop a new comprehensive solution to that.
Again, now keep in mind, gang, that wasn't Trump. That wasn't Marjorie Taylor Greene. That wasn't Carrie Lake. That wasn't anyone from the MAGA movement. That was a Democrat senator taking his own progressive open borders voters to task. How could this even possibly be controversial? Border security, right? Plain and simple. And he's not alone. We reported on Democrat Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs, of all people, how she recently signed an executive order deploying National Guard troops stationed in Arizona to their southern border. Katie Hobbs, of all people, is openly defying Bumlin Biden's orchestrated border chaos and looking to bring it to an end. And in so doing, Hobbs is basically mirroring what Governor Greg Abbott is doing in Texas. So we're seeing here nothing less than the emergence of border security becoming a pre-political or trans-political issue. In other words, border security is an issue that appears to be transcending partisan politics. Even Democrats are now starting to embrace it. And they appear to be embracing it because, well, frankly, I mean, they're seeing the writing on the wall. They're seeing their own constituents demanding border security, like what we're seeing among voters in New York and Chicago. By the way, did you see this poll coming out from New York? We talked about this in our first video today. It's a Siena College poll, latest one to drop. It shows Biden up over Trump by only 9 in a state that he won by almost 25 points in 2020. Biden's lead over Trump in perhaps the bluest of blue states, New York, is down to single digits. And that's largely because New Yorkers are turning on Biden precisely on this issue of border security. So what's happening here is that even Democrat constituencies, particularly urban constituencies, are embracing the core tenets of America First populism, which means, gang, we have won. If the MAGA movement has truly become pre-political, if it transcends partisan politics, that means, in effect, it doesn't matter who wins elections. No matter what, border security will be the default position of both parties. Let me say it this way. There is no more decisive victory for a political issue than when it becomes pre-political. When an issue is agreed upon firmly by both parties, that issue then becomes a prerequisite for either party to win among their voters. That is precisely what's happening when it comes to border security. Voters in both parties see what they had under Trump, which was, of course, a secure border. They're seeing the chaos they have now under Biden, and now even Democrats want Trump back. Hence the polls coming out of New York that shows Biden's lead dwindling to single digits. So all of this is to say that Governor Greg Abbott and Attorney General Ken Paxton have the wind at their backs. They have the super majority of Americans, Republicans, Democrats, independents, 100% behind them in their ongoing efforts to basically tell the Supreme Court and the clowns in the bumbling Biden administration to stick it.